Hey guys, thanks for checking out our video today. I'm really excited to finally talk to you about the 2015 Tundra headlights. Ever since we did the 2010 generation of Tundra, we've had tons of people say, what about my 14 Tundra? What about my 15 Tundra? Now the 16 Tundra is coming out, that's gonna be the same as these. So we have been waiting to do this for a really long time, and I'm glad that today's the day that we can finally address the new Tundra headlights. And it's gonna be really cool because there are some decent options out there. We're gonna talk about halogen headlight replacements that are some plug and play options. We're gonna talk about what everybody's talking about, LED headlight conversion kits, and we're gonna go with the old standard of HID conversion kits. What's that like to install? What's the difference between the different colors and the power levels? And why would you choose LED over HID, but why would you choose HID over LED? So some kind of complex questions to answer, and we're gonna do that all in this video. Welcome to the 2014 and up Toyota Tundra Lighting video series. My name is Chris, and this is Headlight Revolution. We're going to touch on a few different headlight bulb upgrade products, but first I want to show you some real-world comparisons between the stock light bulbs, LED, and HID headlight bulbs in our test range. Here's stock low beam, LED low beam, 35 watt HID low beam, and 55 watt HID low beam. Here's stock halogen high beam, LED high beam, 35 watt HID high beam, and last but not least, 55 watt HID high beam. We'll talk more about these light output shots after the product overview and installation. So what we're gonna do is first walk you through the different products that we're gonna demo on this truck, and then we're gonna show you how to do the different installs, and then we're actually gonna show you a real world scenario where we set up the truck and turned on the different headlights so you can see the differences between LED, between HID, between the original halogen lights. So you can really see not just in the studio, not just against a wall in the garage, but you can see real pictures of the light output, so you're not making any guesses. I hope this makes it really easy for you to decide what to put in your Tundra. And of course, if we don't cover something and you have more questions, contact us. You can find all these products and you can get a hold of us at www.headlightrevolution.com. Before we take the truck apart, I want to go through the differences between each of these types of headlights. The first thing I want to talk to you about are halogen replacement light bulbs. Now, we're not just talking about the stock halogen replacement light bulbs, we're talking about something that's a little bit better than the stock replacement light bulbs. One of the things that's really exciting about the Vision X brand of halogen replacement light bulbs is that they have a line that has a lifetime warranty. Have you ever heard of halogen light bulbs with a lifetime warranty before? Sure, you've seen it with cheap HID kits and LED light bulbs, but never a halogen replacement bulb. So, if your whole thing is economy and a little bit more light output and a different color, the Vision X line is really good. And we have two different variants on our website for this new Tundra. We have the regular power halogen light bulbs, that's a 55 watt, just like your stock bulb. And then we have a high power halogen, that's an 80 watt version of the same light bulb. As you can see on the Vision X bulbs, they have a slight blue tint to them, which doesn't make the light output blue at all. All you're gonna have is a little bit less yellow in your light output. If you look at the Tundra behind me, its headlights are on, and it gives you that dingy, old style, yellowish white color. You're still gonna get a little bit of that with the Vision X light bulbs, but not as much. It's gonna be a little bit closer to the white color of the spectrum. Normally when people are talking about upgrading their headlights to something brighter than halogen light bulbs, you talk about an HID conversion kit. HID stands for high intensity discharge. It uses a ballast to power a xenon gas filled light bulb. These light bulbs are direct replacements for the original H4 that the truck takes, but they require some extra parts and some extra wiring to make it all work. You get the kit from Gtr Lighting, and it looks like this. It's a real nice box. It tells you what you're getting, and inside you have a relay harness, bulbs, and a pair of ballasts. So let me go over all of this to explain it to you. First, the light bulbs. This may look familiar if you've been looking at HID kits or headlight upgrades for your truck. You've probably seen something like this. This is an H4 replacement light bulb, but it's an HID. You see it doesn't have a filament inside, so there's nothing in the light emitting part to burn out or break like your factory bulb. But it doesn't have two filaments. So the way that it works to recreate the high and low beam function is it actually has an electromagnetic base. This is a magnet, and these two wires power that magnet. So your relay harness is hooked up to the truck, and it's hooked up to the bulbs, and when you flip the high-low switch on your steering column, it activates these two wires, which activate the electromagnet that sucks the bulb in. And it goes in and out like that to recreate your high and low beam function. I'm touching this bulb. That's a huge no-no. Before this gets installed, we have to clean it with isopropyl alcohol. Luckily, the kit from Gtr Lighting comes with alcohol swabs and instructions that say always clean your bulbs even when they're new. So before we put these in and show you, I'm going to use the alcohol swabs and clean this light bulb. Otherwise, it will most likely overheat and break. The next piece of the puzzle with an HID conversion kit is the ballast. This is the thing that powers the HID bulb. There's nothing inside the HID bulb that can be illuminated or turned on with 12 volts from your truck. What has to happen is you send 12 volts into the ballast. The ballast is kind of like an igniter for a fluorescent light system in your office. And it converts the 12 volts DC to 24,000 volts of AC power to fire up your HID bulbs. Without a ballast, the bulbs don't do anything. So we have to mount the ballast somewhere in the truck and give them power. We give them power with the relay harness. The thing that dictates how bright the HID bulbs are is the power level of the ballast. Traditionally, you would do a 35 watt HID ballast. This means that the ballast, when it's operational, draws 35 watts of power, and it allows the bulb to put out about 3 to 3,500 lumens of light, which is 3 to 3.5 times brighter than your stock bulbs. Talk about an upgrade. It's a massive amount of light. If that's not enough for you, you can change the ballast from a 35 watt ballast to a 55 watt ballast. Now your headlight systems are using 55 watts of power per light bulb and putting out an incredible 5,000 lumens of light. 5 times the light output of your original headlights. If you want the power of the sun contained in your 2015 Tundra headlights, a 55 watt HID conversion kit is easily the brightest headlight upgrade on the market for this truck. Probably the most complex part of doing the HID conversion kit is installing this relay control wire harness, because you have to integrate with the vehicle's high-low function, and you have to power the ballast, and you have to do it all with one contained system. So the solution is to draw power from the battery, trigger everything with the factory wiring, and use a relay to power the ballasts which are connected to the bulbs. What you see here is the Gtr Lighting H4 relay module. You can see it's very high quality. It's made out of a waterproof aluminum case, and it has a quick disconnect connection that is also a waterproof connection. This is very rare to see something this high quality from a harness in the aftermarket HID world. Normally when you're shopping for HID kits, if they send you a relay harness, it's a plastic piece of junk. These relay harnesses from Gtr Lighting have plastic sheathing to protect the wires and make it look nice, really high quality crimped on connectors for your different connections, and waterproof adapters like you see here. You cannot get a better quality HID relay harness than the ones from Gtr Lighting. They just don't exist. This is the best of the best. The way this harness works is you find a home near the battery to mount the relay module, and preferably near your H4 connector from the truck. You see the 3 pins, they look just like the original halogen light bulb, and they plug into your vehicle's factory wire harness just like the original bulb. This is the signal to tell the relay what to do when you operate the headlights. Next up, you have a waterproof fuse holder and a terminal that says battery plus. This goes to the positive side of your battery, and on the Tundra, that's super easy. We'll show you in a minute. The rest of the relay harness is divided into 2 sections. You have the output for the driver's side ballast. The ballast plugs in here. You ground it to the chassis, and this connects to the light bulb. Then you have the exact same thing as what I just showed you, but on this big extension to go to the other side of the vehicle. So again, this plugs into the other ballast, which then in turn plugs into the bulb. You ground it to the chassis, and you plug this into the bulb. This small 2-pin connector plugs into the connector on the bulb like this. This is the part that communicates with your high beam and low beam switch inside the truck to energize the electromagnet that makes the bulb move in and out to create your high and low beam function. The other 2 wires off of the bulb connect to the ballast. They only go one way, so you really can't mess it up. 1 bulb connects to 1 ballast. And then the relay harness wiring goes to power the ballast like this. It all plugs in, and all you really have to do is find a spot for the ground, which I'm going to show you is really easy to do. This is a lot of parts to plug in. You have to decide between 35 watt and 55 watt. You have to install this wire harness throughout your engine bay, and you have to pick 1 color of bulbs, and you're stuck with it. HID is the best in terms of light output and beam pattern for a plug-and-play option, but it's really quite complicated. The only reason that I'm pointing out some of its flaws is because there's a new product that I want to show you that is about as good as a 35 watt HID conversion kit with some other really key benefits. Introducing an extremely exciting new product. This is the Gtr Lighting 2nd generation LED headlight bulb kit. It's exactly what it says it is. Finally, there's a product on the market that's LED, that's all-in-one, self-contained, and it's brighter than your stock headlights. Here's the package from Gtr Lighting. We just got these in, and the reason that I'm so excited about it is because people have been asking about them forever. We finally have something to show you guys. When you open the box, everything's there. You have a pair of bulbs with the drivers built in, and you have what we call the color shields to change the color. 1 set of bulbs can be the colors 3000K gold, 4300K OEM white, 5000K pure white, 6000K diamond white, 8000K iceberg white, or 10,000K deep blue. 1 pair of bulbs, no ballast, hot swappable color shields to change the color at any time, and they're just totally plug and play. Check these out. As you can see, they have the exact same metal 3-prong adapter like the original bulbs. They're very small, and they have a short wire harness that plugs directly into your factory wiring. And this is probably the coolest part, color shields. The way these work is the color shield is held in place over the light bulb by this GTR branded thumb screw at the top of the bulb. When you take it off, the color shield slides off. Without a color shield, this LED bulb creates a pure 5000K color. No tint of blue, no tint of yellow, it's just white. And adding a color shield changes the color by filtering different colors of the spectrum, and 1 bulb can be any color that you want. The cool thing about these bulbs is that they use 8 10-watt Cree XML LEDs per light. On this side, this is your high beam, where the LEDs are closer to the base of the bulb, which also means that they're closer to the reflector to create a high, tight beam pattern. So you have 4 10-watt Cree XML LEDs on this side, and you have 4 Cree 10-watt LEDs on this side. That means we're working with 80 watts of power here. So with all that being said, you buy one set of bulbs for your truck, and if today you want yellow headlights and tomorrow you want blue headlights, you can do that. You have the option to swap out color shields at any time. On this truck, we're gonna show you the 6000K color. That's what's sticking in the truck, because that's what we do with the fog lights too. So if you're interested in LED fog lights for your 15 Tundra, we have that also. Please check out the other videos on our channel or the Tundra section at headlightrevolution.com. In order to replace the headlights in the 15 Tundra, we have to take the headlights off the truck. There isn't much room back there to squeeze your hand in and do all the work, so we're going to remove the grille, and then we're going to remove the trim pieces below the headlights, and then we can unbolt the actual headlights and replace the light bulbs. In order to get the grille off, there are 2 plastic clips on the top corners of the grille, and to remove those, we're going to use a basic trim tool. And then there are 4 10mm bolts that you can remove with a 10mm socket or a Phillips head screwdriver. When the grille is unbolted, it simply pulls away from the vehicle, set that aside, and then you can remove the large square-shaped trim pieces below the headlights. In order to do that, we're going to use a trim tool to remove the 2 plastic clips and a hard card to provide a cushion between how we're prying on the trim to remove it and the paint. We don't want the trim tool to damage the paint at all. Now that the grille is off, we have to take these trim panels off the truck that are right below the headlight. They're held on the inside by these 2 plastic clips, which we will remove with the trim tool. And then they are also mounted around a corner, so they kind of have a clip that slips over and grabs onto the lip of this bracket behind the headlight. But because this truck has the Bushwhacker fender flares installed, I had to loosen those up so that we can have some space for this trim panel to pop off. The idea with this trim panel is that you pull it this way, away from the truck, and that's a little bit tricky because of this, but since I have it pulled away, it should come right off. So you can see here how it's mounted. It has a few little clips, and this grooved section kind of fits over the bracket that holds the headlight in place. The headlight is now only secured with 3 10mm bolts. There's one here, and one in this bracket on the side. I'm gonna use this towel to make sure that we can avoid some scratches. You lift up on these 2 arms on the top. You peel this back and give the headlight some room to come forward, and then the headlight comes out. Now we have access to everything on the back side of the headlight. We can replace the light bulbs for the parking lights, the blinkers, and the headlight bulbs. On the back side of the headlight housing, you can see this large circular rubber grommet with the brown connector and 3 wires coming out of it. That's our headlight. This bulb is an H4. It's a very common style of light bulb that is used in a lot of vehicles. We're going to start by pulling straight back and releasing the socket from the light bulb. We'll just keep that out of the way. And then this rubber grommet should come off like so, and there's our bulb. You can see it's held in place by this metal spring clip. If you give that some pressure and put it off to the side, everything will come out. And so you can see, if you wanted to just do a direct replacement, something with a better color and better light output, it's as simple as replacing your light bulb with another light bulb. It's the exact same process if you wanted to upgrade to the Vision X blue tinted halogen light bulbs. What I do want to show you some information on is the LED headlight bulbs from Gtr Lighting. You can see the original H4 halogen bulb and the new Gtr Lighting H4 LED bulb have the same type of metal mounting collar with the 3 tabs. And on the back side, you have the 3 prongs, and the Gtr Lighting LED bulb has the same 3-prong connector. So it's largely plug and play. There's only one little thing you have to keep in mind. Let's put the bulb in, and I'm going to show you what you have to do to get the best results. Because the heatsink and fan design of the H4 LED bulb is kind of large, it will fit with this spring adapter, but you do have to sort of spread them apart to get them around the base of the bulb. So first you'll see that the bulb fits in place just like the stock halogen light does, but when you go to push the spring closed, it gets in the way of the heatsink. So simply spread them apart as you're going over the light bulb, and eventually it should snap into place just like the stock setup. Now the bulb is secure, and you could stop there. Actually, a lot of people do, but now we're not using the original dust cover. Now we could push this adapter wire through, and we could bring this all the way down and go over the light bulb, and everything goes in place. But this kind of concerns me because the LED H4 bulb requires air circulation to cool. We're really not allowing any air to circulate. So what I'm going to do is use a very sharp razor. I'm going to use this knife, and I'm going to cut this off so that it's not such a tight fit against the heatsink and fan. Be very careful, please don't cut yourself. And as always, if you're not comfortable with this part of the installation, show them our video and hire a professional. But this really isn't very difficult. I'm kind of just going to wing it, and if I need to tweak the size of the hole, I will in a minute. Now that we have a portion of the dust boot removed, I'm going to reinstall it. It should actually go together a lot easier. And we still have a good seal here. It's not going to be as good as factory, but that should still keep the moisture and the dust out. And then we can plug in the 3-prong connector to the factory wire harness. I'm going to clean that up a little bit and make it look even nicer, but you get the idea. That's probably the best way to do this install. One of the biggest differences between the 35-watt HID conversion and the LED conversion is the warm-up time. LED is instant. The second you turn it on, it's as bright as it will ever be. With HID, it can take up to 9 to 12 seconds to reach full brightness, and even longer with a 55-watt high power setup. We feel that the light output of the HID is still slightly superior when you're comparing the LED conversion and a 35-watt HID, but there are so many other benefits of going with the LED bulbs that you might be willing to give them a try. There's no messy relay harness to install, there's no extra parts like a driver, and it's totally plug and play. For the HID conversion kit, we start with a bulb replacement, but then it gets a little bit more complicated. First, remove the harness from the H4 halogen light bulb. Then remove your dust cover, just like we did on the other side for the LED bulbs. Remove the spring clip to take your H4 halogens out. And here you can see the differences between the halogen H4 bulb and the HID H4 bulb. Much larger construction all the way around, but it has the same 3-prong adapter, so it should fit in the housing fine. It actually uses this shield to reduce glare so that it controls the beam pattern and you're not getting light scattering everywhere. If your HIDs don't have this hood over the bulb, you definitely don't want to use that product because this hood will help aim and control the light output in your reflector headlight. First start by inserting the bulb just like the original halogen one was inserted, and then spread the spring clips to get around the large base of the HID bulb, and it should seat in place just like the original. Now we're kind of in the same scenario with the HID bulb with this dust cover as far as getting it to totally enclose. But if you put the wire harness through first, and you have this portion pulled up and out, we can actually squeeze it around the base of the HID bulb and make a good connection all the way around without having to modify anything. Because the HID bulbs are not air and heat sink cooled, you don't have to worry about the fact that we're blocking the air from cooling around there. That's not going to change anything. Now what we have is this 3 connector harness coming out for the high-low function, and from the ballast to the bulbs to turn everything on. Next step is to start installing the relay harness. To install the H4 dual beam relay harness, first you have to identify the positive battery terminal wire. It says battery plus on it. It has a round ring terminal and it has an inline power fuse. So we're going to actually mount it on a factory mounting location on the battery. You can see we already have something mounted here because when we did the light bar install behind the grill, we tapped into power the same way. If a light bar behind the grill sounds interesting, please check out our other videos. If you have a 15 Tundra and want to do a light bar, we really think you're going to like that product. Now that you have power going to the relay, next you have to get your signal. This H4 connector goes into the relay and tells it what to do, when to turn on, when to turn to high beam, when to turn to low beam. So as you can see, it has the same 3-prong style connection as the factory headlight bulb. So we're going to plug it into the factory harness behind the headlight. Now keep in mind that this relay harness only has 1 input. You don't need 2 inputs. So on the driver's side, near the battery where we plug into the harness, the factory brown H4 connector will be used. And on the passenger side, the factory brown H4 connector will not be used. It's simply not needed. The last part of this driver's side headlight HID install is to collect the high-low control harness to the light bulb, to connect the power and ground harness to the ballast, to ground the power and ground harness, and hook the ballast up to the bulb. So first, we'll take this small 2-pin connector and connect it to the high-low controller on the light bulb. We'll take the Gtr Lighting 35-watt ballast and plug it into that connector. And the output of the Gtr Lighting 35-watt ballast goes to the bulbs. Everything plugs in and has a place. All you really have to do is find a spot for the ground. And on the driver's side, you can actually reach the battery. So we're going to plug it into the ground at the battery. On the passenger side, there are 10mm bolts all over the place that you can safely ground to. If you test your system and one of the sides isn't working, the first thing you want to do is check your connection to power and ground. Now that we have everything plugged in, we're going to find a spot to mount the relay harness. We're going to find a spot to mount the ballast with the supplied mounting hardware, and we're going to put everything back together and test it. To finalize your relay harness install, you have to run the other part of the relay harness all the way across the engine bay, ground it on the passenger side, plug into the ballast on the passenger side, mount the ballast on the passenger side, install the bulbs, and make all your connections to the bulbs. With that in mind, make sure that none of your wiring gets pinched in anything, and make sure none of your wiring is near any moving parts, and make sure all of your wiring is zip tied or otherwise securely fastened to something so it's not moving around and can become damaged over time. If you're not sure if you can handle that, please find a local install shop and hire a professional. Now we're going to turn on the headlights and show you the difference between HID and LED headlights. Here you can see the 6000K 35-watt HID low beams, and when I flip it to high beam, you notice a really stark change from low beam to high beam. That's because the bulb inside the housing is physically moving forward and backwards to create a different beam pattern. With LED headlight bulbs, you can see that the turn on is instant. There's absolutely no warm up at all like HID. The second they're on, they're super bright. With low beam, you only have half of the bulbs turned on. This is 4 10-watt Cree bulbs on each side of the light bulb. And when you go to high beam, the other 4 also turn on. So here's high beam. It's not as drastic of a change as the HID conversion kits, but it definitely throws a fair amount of light up above the regular beam pattern. And you can definitely see that you're turning the high beams on, unlike some other LED conversion kits. And if you choose to go with LED headlight conversions, you can also do the matching fog lights. Check out our other videos in the channel for the Tundra LED fog light kit. Now that we've gone over the different products that are available for your Toyota Tundra headlights, we brought the vehicle out to our test range and put it at 100 yards to test the different headlight products. First up is the stock Halogen H4 headlight bulbs. Here you can see low beam. There's a lot of yellow tinted light everywhere. It's not extremely wide, but it does the trick. You flip it to high beam, you lose a lot of your foreground lighting, but it does a pretty good job of lighting up above the original beam pattern. So here's your high-low comparison for the stock bulbs. Next we did the Gtr Lighting 2nd generation LED H4 headlight bulbs. You can see on low beam they are a better color, and remember, you can change the color. This is just one example. You can make them look like the stock light bulbs, or you can do more of a stylish aftermarket light color. The low beam LED puts more light on the road than the stock headlight bulbs, but when you switch it to high beam, it's not quite as drastic of a change. To give you a better idea of what the high beam is doing, we pulled it up to a grove of trees to get more reflection. Here's low beam closer to the trees. Now here's high beam closer to the trees. You can see there is a state change. You can see it going from low beam to high beam, but it's not as drastic as the stock headlight bulbs or HID. Next, we put a 35 watt 6000K HID conversion kit in the truck. Here's low beam. You can see it's an immense amount of light. And when you switch it to high beam, you don't lose any foreground lighting, but the light does increase dramatically upwards. Then we switch it to a 55 watt ballast for even more power. Here's the low beam 55 watt HID, producing roughly 5,000 lumens of light per headlight. And when you switch it to high beam, the light goes up and you have a massive amount of light. Again, here's stock low beam, LED low beam, 35 watt HID low beam, and 55 watt HID low beam. Here's stock halogen high beam, LED high beam, 35 watt HID high beam, and last but not least, 55 watt HID high beam. Everything that we just showed you for demoing the LED headlights on this 15 Tundra, we used the 6000K color shield option. And that's what's so great about this particular product is you don't have to buy a replacement set of bulbs if you want to change the color. It comes with all the color shields for all the different colors. And if you get sick of a 8000K blue, you can go to a stock 4300K color. So we just showed you 6000K color output shots. Now that you see what's involved in upgrading your headlights to halogen or LED or HID, and you've seen what they actually look like in real life, I hope that you kind of have a better understanding on what you want for your Tundra. You know, we have a lot of Tundra products for sale on our website, and of course, if you need help with your install or deciding on what direction to go, please contact us. Our sales staff would be happy to help, and we have lots of other Tundra videos on our YouTube channel, so please subscribe so you don't miss what we have coming out next for your truck. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you next time.